As any entrepreneur knows, starting and operating a business means taking risk. Risk is the possibility that what actually happens will be different from what you expect will happen. There are two types of risk, speculative and pure risk. We voluntarily enter into speculative risk like starting a business or investing in stocks in hopes of making profits. But with pure risk, there are no chances of gain. Pure risk comes from forces partly beyond our control, such as fires, disasters, and legal liabilities. But there are numerous steps you can take to keep pure risk from harming your business. With some work and help from others, such as your Louisiana Small Business Development Center consultants, these steps can make your business stronger and even more profitable. In order to manage losses from pure risk, businesses should implement risk management plans. Risk management is the process of identifying potential losses from risk and determining how best to finance and control those risks so losses do not derail your business from its goals. There are many ways to manage risk, either through risk financing, which includes paying for losses out of pocket, and transferring risk to someone else, such as an insurance company, or risk control, which is avoiding or minimizing losses. A consideration as you develop your risk management plan is what is your risk appetite? Your risk appetite will affect your approach to risk management. A good way to evaluate your risk appetite is to answer the questions on the accompanying worksheet, which can be downloaded from the LSBDC website. Discuss the questions on the worksheet with your business partners and family members. People who take more personal, physical, and financial risk tend to be more comfortable taking financial risk with their businesses. However, the more physical risk you and your employees undertake, or the more risk associated with your products or services, the more care you need to take managing your risk. Another aspect of your risk appetite is your financial risk tolerance. The bigger financial cushion you have, the more risk you might be willing to bear. A good way to assess your financial risk tolerance is to answer these questions. How much cash does the business have in any given month? How does that change over the year? What amount of money can I access or borrow fairly quickly at a low or no interest rate? What amount of loss to my business would cause us to shut down? Answering these questions will help you to determine if you need to buy insurance or finance the loss yourself. A risk or potential loss that could shut down your company should generally be insured. The first step in developing your risk management plan is to identify your business's risk or loss exposures. Your business can be exposed to loss in a variety of ways. Examples of loss exposures include property, the lives and health of you and your employees, or the reputation of your business. A good way to brainstorm about your company's loss exposures is to look at the most common types of exposures for small businesses: property, business interruption, workers' comp, liability, and auto exposure. Depending on your business, your property exposures may include equipment and tools, the building and surrounding land, accounting and other records, raw materials, computers and other technology, finished goods, fixtures, machinery, and inventory. Beyond the cost involved in repairing or replacing these items, property exposures can lead to business interruption. That's when your company is unable to operate or to function at the same level as it did before the loss. Every day your business is closed, you lose income and might lose customers. However, according to the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, only 35% of small businesses carry business interruption insurance. There are many causes of business interruption, from natural disasters like floods and hurricanes to everyday disasters like a disruption in water supply, loss of electrical power, technology failures including computers and phones, and other conditions preventing access to your facility. Do you have a plan to handle both the big disasters and small interruptions? LSBDC can assist you in developing these plans. If you have full-time employees, you probably have a workers' compensation exposure. In Louisiana, as well as many other states, employers are required to have workers' compensation insurance for most employees. You can access more information about workers' comp on www.lsbdc.org. Injured employees also pose a potential liability exposure if they sue you outside of the workers' comp system for their injuries. That brings us to our next category of exposure, legal liability. Every business faces a potential liability loss from its services or products. The following are the most common liability exposures. If you have a storefront, office, or any location where customers or tenants are present, you have a premises liability exposure. Manufacturers have a potential product liability. If you provide services such as operating, repairing, preparing, or installing a product, you have a completed operations exposure. Restaurants have both a product and a completed operations exposure for food they prepare and serve. If you provide an advisory service like financial, legal, mechanical, or health-related advice, you have a professional liability exposure. In addition to the workers' comp exposure, employers face potential employment liability from sexual harassment, age and race discrimination, and other lawsuits filed outside of the workers' compensation system. If you have vehicles used solely for business, you have a business automobile exposure. Even if you're using a personal vehicle for business, you still have a business auto exposure. Many personal auto insurance policies exclude property and liability coverage on a vehicle used primarily for business. A good practice is to purchase a separate insurance policy for a vehicle used mostly for business, which might also shield you from personal liability. Other risks to consider are contingent business interruptions, such as customer diversification. Do you have a plan to ensure that no single customer makes up the majority of your business? Do you have a plan to deal with the loss of your biggest customer, or will it shut down your business? Supplier diversification. Do you rely solely on just one supplier for key materials or inventory needed to run your business? Do you have alternative suppliers if your primary supplier goes out of business? After reviewing the common types of loss exposures, another method to identify possible risk is to examine your past loss history. If you've been in business for years or ran a similar business in the past, you can look at historical losses such as workers' injuries, thefts, and fires as predictors of possible future losses. For less common types of losses like disasters and liability, talking to peers might provide additional insight. If you don't have records of past losses, now is the time to create a system to track them. It could be as simple as opening up a folder on your computer or in your filing cabinet called Past Loss History and setting up subfolders for common types of losses. Keep detailed records about the losses, including pictures, names of the parties involved, copies of reports, and costs involved to help you identify your loss exposures going forward. Other tools developed by experts to help identify potential exposures are risk analysis questionnaires and insurance checklists. A risk analysis questionnaire, also known as a self-inspection checklist, asks a series of questions about your business in order to alert you to risk and suggest ways to manage losses. Insurance checklists are similar to risk analysis questionnaires, but they only point out insurable risk. Your LSBDC consultant can help you find additional resources specific to your industry. Another way to identify loss exposures is to talk with experts, such as accountants, insurance agents, and attorneys who might be aware of specific risks that could impact your type of business. Additionally, sometimes your own employees are your best experts. They can suggest loss exposures you might not have considered. Also, your LSBDC business consultants are excellent resources. LSBDC consultants have been specifically trained to assist you with the development of your risk management plan. As a final step to identifying risk, conduct a simple flowchart analysis. It doesn't have to be complicated. A simple flowchart analysis examines the process of getting from one point to another, forcing you to walk through your business operations and look for potential risk along the way. For example, if you own a restaurant, consider the route that servers take to bring food to the table. Do they walk over slippery floors with heavy trays, creating potential workers' comp liability? How do you minimize safety hazards? Just knowing your risk is a step in the right direction and goes a long way toward helping you to manage your risk. For additional information or for assistance, contact your nearest LSBDC office. LSBDC offers risk management and business consulting all at no cost. LSBDC also offers low-cost business training and no-cost business information and resources. To find your nearest center, visit www.lsbdc.org and click the Locate a Center link.